Alright, welcome back. This is a review for Fruits Basket 2019, episode 13. I get the feeling this episode might be a little shorter, who knows, as we go along here. That's because for the pretty much this episode is self-explanatory. You get to meet a new member of the Zodiac in that, which is Ayame Soma, which technically we've been seeing him since the first time you got to see the ending. Because he's been you get to see not only his snake form in the ending, but you also get to see a young version of him in the ending. If you when all the zodiac animal, when all the characters when they're younger running by, he's part of that group as well. But again, we get to meet Ayame Soma, who happens to be Yuki's older brother, about 10 years older than him, and this episode really is just about Ayame and him really wanting to try to reconnect with Yuki, and and it plays out pretty much exactly how it was in the anime and the original and in the manga, so there's not too much difference to talk about here. But it's really is just about him wanting to be able to connect more with his little brother and repair the rift that had grown between them, because as Ayame explains to Toru during about halfway through the episode, that, or maybe a little bit before that, but that Yuki and him are 10 years apart, and due to the fact that he was kind of isolated from everyone else, and due to his illness that he had, which is the bronchial tube stuff, he didn't really even recognize that he had a little brother. He didn't see him very often, and so they weren't really together very often. So it was like he only in vagueness ever remembered that, oh yeah, I actually have a little brother. One of those types of things. And we see a little glimpse of what looks to be Yuki trying to reach out, a very young Yuki trying to reach out to Ayame, and Ayame pushing him away. And Ayame regrets this. As he says to Toru, I'm an adult now, and I look back at the things I said and I did as a child, and I go, you come to more understanding now that you're an adult, that when you were a child, you should have done this, or you should have said this, and he sees how, as an adult, that affected the relationship, and what decisions that he had made as a child, even unknowingly, affected what happened to him as an adult. In this case, being that him and Yuki aren't as close as he wants them to be, and that they aren't really. There's a form of a rift between them. And I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. The episode is very moving in its own way, but it's also a very hilarious episode. And that's because Ayame is a very unique character. He is a very flamboyant, very extremely flamboyant, and likes to joke around and stuff like that. But then it's always hard to tell if he's one of those characters, so you can't really tell if he's serious or if he's just joking. So sometimes it's hard to tell. But he is a good character, and he's trying to be a better brother to Yuki. It's actually kind of refreshing to see this sort of thing, to where it's like because sometimes in animes what you'll get is or even in mangas you'll get series where it's like, yeah, you have like two siblings, and they're not really connected. There's like, in a sense, a rift between them, and they both want to try to get to connected back with each other, but neither of them are really trying to work on it. And then somehow, some way, something brings them together eventually. Well, in this case, it's actually kind of refreshing, because Ayame is putting his foot forward and saying, and reaching his hand and saying, I want to repair this rift. I want us to become closer brothers, and I want to apologize, and I want to make up for the things of which I did in the past, for ignoring you and not helping you out when you needed it. And of course, he's again, as Tori says at the end of the episode, Yuki's not an idiot. He's just young, and you got to give him a little bit of time in order to warm up to this, in order to actually get And as Yuki himself says when Toru confronts him, he says, "Yeah, I don't hate my brother. He's just kind of hard to deal with. I just don't understand him very well." And it in so it's nice to see that they are willing to actually work together, and that they are willing to actually come to terms of, even if it's not immediately, that eventually they will, which is kind of the whole spiel of which Toru gives Ayame when he takes her out for lunch, and that, sometimes even if it's not right away or you don't completely understand one another, as long as you keep trying, and as long as you are willing to at least meet halfway, then eventually you will come to an understanding with one another. Which is, it's nice, and that's something that, again, Fruits Basket has always been filled with these little, in a sense, little moral messages that it's always, and little encouragements, can't say the word today, for some reason, that they're always a good reminder for you. Go, yeah, okay, yeah, you can always try to meet halfway on certain things, even if you don't always agree. And it's that, but it's a fun episode, and that's one of the things that makes Fruits Basket so good. Um, and I mean, it's just a very sweet episode overall. It's a very funny episode. Again, Ayame is absolutely hilarious. He's a very unique character that you don't see very often, and of course, everyone, because he was originally voiced by Chris Sabat. In the English dub back in the 2001 version. Once again, Chris Sabat reprises his role here. And of course, now people with My Hero Academia being so popular and Chris Sabat voicing All Might, everyone, a lot of the comments I see is like, man, it's like a flamboyant All Might. That's what we're getting. It is funny. Um, but it's a great episode. It's very fun. And of course, you get to see Yuki and Hattori and Shigure and Ayame. You find out that yes, they're all the same age and they all grew up together in school. They all went through the same grades together, and it's fun, and it's great. Oh, there was something else. Oh, and that we also find out that Ayame, because he respects Hattori a lot, and so because of that, like, no one really can control Ayame, including Shigure. No one can really control him except for Hattori. And even a little bit, we're seeing a little bit of Toru, because he says at the end of the episode that Ayame says to Hattori, that Toru reminds him of Hattori. So, and then the way that they speak and they talk and whatnot. But it's a good episode. It was fun. It's hilarious. I will say the only thing that I mean, they couldn't bring it back because it has to be a different music set. But if you've never watched the original, I'd say, because Ayame's theme, his theme in the background, it's still good. But if you want, and I still like it, but the original, his theme in the original, in the 2001 version, which is, I think it's called like King's March. If you go look it up, it is like, it's Ayame. It is a very loud song. But it's a good song, but it's very catchy. But it's both versions, both the 2001 version and this version, fit him very well, just in different ways. But I do recommend, if you want to go just kind of listen to it, it's a pretty fun song. Other than that, though, next episode, for you first-time viewers, you might need to get your tissues out, because it's gonna be a fun one, to say the least. Nice. When I say fun, I mean, it might be a tearjerker a little bit. But other than that, it's really about it. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.